Trust is the foundation of every meaningful relationship. It is built through honesty, consistency, and respect. But what happens when that trust is broken? Betrayal is not just an act, it is a wound that cuts deep, leaving emotional scars that take years to heal. Some betrayals are so damaging that they should never be ignored, excused, or forgiven easily. Not because holding grudges is the answer, but because some acts of disloyalty reveal a person's true nature, making it clear that they do not deserve a place in your life. Betrayal is not just about one moment of dishonesty or a single mistake. It is about a pattern of behavior that shows a lack of integrity, love, and respect. People who betray others in serious ways are revealing who they truly are. They are showing that they do not value your trust, your kindness, or your presence. And once someone has shown you that side of themselves, you must take it seriously. One of the most painful betrayals is deception, being lied to by someone you trusted. A lie is not just words, it is a deliberate attempt to manipulate and control reality. When someone chooses to deceive you, they are choosing to prioritize their comfort over your right to know the truth. And the problem with liars is that once they have lied, you can never be sure if they are telling the truth again. If someone has made deception a habit, you must recognize that they are not just lying to protect themselves. They are lying because they do not value honesty in the relationship. Another form of betrayal is disloyalty, when someone turns against you in times of need. A loyal person stands by your side even when things get difficult. They do not abandon you when life is tough or when they find someone else more convenient to be around. If someone only supports you when it benefits them but disappears when you need them most, they have already shown you who they are. Loyalty is not something that should have to be begged for. If you have to question someone's loyalty, they are already disloyal. Betrayal is never just about a single moment. It is about a pattern of behavior that reveals who someone truly is. A person who betrays once and feels genuine remorse will do everything in their power to repair the damage, ensuring they never repeat their mistake. But when betrayal is part of someone's character, it is not an accident. It is a reflection of their values, priorities, and emotional integrity. The most dangerous betrayals are not those that come suddenly, but the ones that are hidden in repeated actions, showing a slow, consistent disregard for trust, loyalty, and respect. People often make the mistake of forgiving a betrayal too quickly, hoping it was just a moment of weakness, an isolated event. But time and experience show that betrayal is rarely a one-time occurrence. A person who is capable of deceiving, hurting, or betraying someone they claim to care about is revealing something deeper about themselves. They are showing a lack of respect, honesty, and self-control. And the more chances they are given, the more likely they are to repeat their actions. A pattern of betrayal is often disguised in small ways. It starts with little acts of dishonesty, subtle disloyalty, or broken promises. It might be a lie told to avoid consequences, a secret kept to maintain control, or a situation manipulated for selfish gain. At first, these actions might seem minor, forgivable, or unintentional. But when betrayal happens again and again, it becomes clear that it is not a mistake. It is a part of who they are. They are not slipping up, they are revealing their true nature. The hardest part of accepting this truth is realizing that not everyone we care about deserves to stay in our lives. Some people are not capable of real loyalty or honesty. They prioritize their own interests over the trust of those around them. They see relationships as opportunities to benefit themselves rather than as sacred connections built on mutual respect. These individuals will continue betraying, not because they have to, but because they can. The only way to break the cycle is to recognize the pattern, accept the reality, and walk away from those who have proven they cannot be trusted. Protecting yourself from betrayal is not about being unforgiving or holding grudges. It is about setting standards for how you deserve to be treated. If someone has shown through their repeated actions that they cannot be trusted, the most powerful thing you can do is believe them. No matter how much you care, no matter how much history you share, a person who has a pattern of betrayal will not change just because you wish they would. Change comes from within, and someone who truly regrets their actions will not just say they are sorry, they will show it in every choice they make moving forward. In the end, betrayal is not just about what someone does to you, it is about what you allow to continue. When you recognize the pattern, you gain the power to break free from it. You no longer have to wait for someone to prove they will hurt you again. You can choose to protect your peace, trust yourself, and refuse to accept anything less than honesty and loyalty. Because the truth is, when someone repeatedly betrays, they are not just making mistakes, they are showing you exactly who they are. And once you see it, it is up to you to decide what you will do with that truth. Trust is one of the most fragile yet essential foundations of any relationship. It takes time, effort, and consistency to build, but it can be shattered in an instant by deception or disloyalty. When someone places their trust in another person, they are making themselves vulnerable, believing in their honesty, integrity, and commitment. It is a sacred bond that holds relationships together, whether in friendships, romantic partnerships, or family connections. However, once that trust is broken, it is almost impossible to rebuild completely. Deception is one of the most damaging acts that can destroy trust. A lie, no matter how small, creates doubt. When someone chooses to deceive, they are making a conscious decision to withhold the truth, manipulate reality, and control how another person perceives a situation. The betrayal is not just in the lie itself, but in the realization that the person who was trusted had the capacity to be dishonest. That realization changes everything. It makes the betrayed individual question past interactions, wondering how much of what they believed was real and how much was an illusion. The seed of doubt takes root, growing into suspicion, anxiety, and eventually a deep sense of insecurity within the relationship. Disloyalty is just as destructive. Loyalty is the silent promise that no matter what happens, both people in a relationship will stand by each other, honor their commitments, and protect the bond they share. When that loyalty is broken, whether through betrayal, abandonment, or actions that put selfish interests above the relationship, it creates a wound that is difficult to heal. Unlike physical wounds, emotional wounds caused by broken trust do not simply fade with time. They linger, resurfacing in moments of doubt, hesitation, and fear of being hurt again. Many believe that trust can be repaired with an apology, but words alone are never enough. Rebuilding trust requires more than just saying sorry. It requires consistent, long-term actions that prove change. Even then, it is never fully restored to what it once was. The mind does not forget pain so easily. Even if someone forgives, they may still carry the memory of betrayal, making them cautious, guarded, and less open than before. The relationship can continue, but it will never feel as pure, as safe, or as effortless as it once did. Some relationships survive betrayal, but they are never the same. The innocence is lost, the faith is weakened, and the connection is permanently altered. In many cases, no matter how much someone wants to believe that trust can be rebuilt, the scars left behind make it impossible to truly return to how things used to be. The weight of past deception lingers, reminding both people that some things once broken can never be fully repaired. Emotional manipulation and broken promises are among the most damaging behaviors in any relationship. They strip away trust, create deep insecurities, and slowly erode a person's sense of self-worth. When someone manipulates emotions to control or influence another person's actions, they are not acting out of love or care. They are acting out of selfishness and a desire for dominance. Likewise, when promises are repeatedly broken, it sends a clear message that the feelings, expectations, and well-being of the other person are not truly valued. These actions are not just momentary lapses in judgment. They reveal a fundamental lack of respect that should never be tolerated. Emotional manipulation can take many forms, often disguising itself as concern, guilt, or subtle coercion. It happens when someone uses emotions to distort reality, making another person feel responsible for things beyond their control. It might come in the form of guilt tripping, where a person constantly reminds their partner or friend of past sacrifices, making them feel obligated to comply with their wishes. It can also appear as gaslighting, a deceptive tactic where the manipulator makes their victim doubt their own memory, perception, or feelings. Over time, these behaviors cause deep emotional damage, leading to self-doubt, anxiety, and a loss of confidence. One of the most dangerous aspects of emotional manipulation is that it often happens gradually. At first, it may seem like simple disagreements, strong opinions, or minor conflicts. However, as it continues, it becomes a pattern. One where the manipulated person starts questioning themselves more than the manipulator. They begin to feel as if they are always at fault, that they must always explain or justify their actions, and that they should constantly try to prove their love, loyalty, or worth. This creates an unbalanced relationship where one person holds all the power while the other is left feeling confused, drained, and controlled. Broken promises are another major sign of disrespect that should never be overlooked. When someone makes a promise, they are not just offering words, they are making a commitment to act in a certain way. Promises provide stability, trust, and assurance in relationships. When these commitments are repeatedly broken, they show a disregard for the other person's expectations and emotions. It is a way of saying, "My words mean nothing," or "Your feelings do not matter enough for me to keep my word." The danger in tolerating emotional manipulation and broken promises is that they create a cycle of disappointment and self-doubt. A person who is constantly manipulated begins to feel powerless, questioning their own worth and decisions. Someone who keeps forgiving broken promises starts to accept disappointment as normal, believing that they are asking for too much when they are simply asking for basic respect. The longer these behaviors are tolerated, the harder it becomes to walk away, as the manipulated person may feel emotionally dependent on the very person causing them pain. Recognizing these toxic patterns is the first step toward breaking free from them. It is essential to understand that love, respect, and trust are not supposed to be conditional or one-sided. A healthy relationship is built on mutual care, honesty, and reliability. No one should have to beg for consistency, question their own reality, or feel guilty for expecting respect. When manipulation and broken promises become a pattern, it is a sign that the relationship is unhealthy and unlikely to change. The most empowering decision a person can make is to refuse to tolerate these behaviors. Setting boundaries, speaking up against manipulation, and walking away from those who do not respect commitments are necessary steps toward self-respect and emotional well-being. Those who truly care will show it not just in words, but in consistent, trustworthy actions. Anything less is not worth tolerating. Few betrayals cut deeper than public humiliation and sabotage. These acts not only break trust, but also inflict lasting damage on a person's dignity, self-esteem, and overall sense of worth. Being betrayed in private is painful enough, but when someone chooses to degrade, mock, or undermine another person in front of others, it transforms personal pain into public shame. This level of betrayal is not just an act of disrespect. It is an attack on a person's identity, reputation, and emotional well-being. No healthy relationship, whether romantic, familial, or professional, should ever involve this kind of mistreatment. Public humiliation is an intentional act meant to demean, embarrass, or weaken someone's confidence. It can come in many forms, such as cruel jokes at another's expense, revealing private information, or criticizing someone harshly in front of others. The damage is twofold. Not only does the person feel hurt and betrayed by someone they trusted, but they also suffer the weight of being seen as weak or vulnerable in the eyes of others. This form of betrayal often leads to deep emotional scars, making the victim feel powerless, ashamed, and even questioning their own self-worth. Sabotage is just as destructive, though often more subtle. Unlike public humiliation, which is overt, sabotage happens behind the scenes, making it harder to detect until the damage is already done. A person who sabotages someone else is not just being unkind. They are deliberately working against them, ensuring that their success, happiness, or personal growth is blocked. Sabotage can happen in relationships where one partner secretly undermines the other's confidence, friendships where jealousy leads to toxic behavior, or workplaces where colleagues intentionally spread false information or hinder progress. One of the most harmful aspects of public humiliation and sabotage is that they create lasting insecurity. When someone has been humiliated in front of others, they may begin to fear social interactions, withdraw from opportunities, or feel a constant need to prove themselves. The fear of being embarrassed again can make them hesitant to speak up, take risks, or trust others. Similarly, when someone realizes they have been sabotaged, they may struggle with self-doubt, always wondering who they can truly rely on. This type of betrayal is especially cruel because it is often done by people who were once trusted. A romantic partner who mocks their significant other in front of friends, a family member who exposes personal secrets to cause embarrassment, or a colleague who spreads false rumors to ruin someone's credibility. These are not just mistakes, they are deliberate choices meant to harm, control, or elevate the betrayer at the expense of another person's dignity. In some cases, public humiliation and sabotage are signs of deeper insecurities within the person committing these betrayals. They may feel the need to tear others down in order to feel powerful or in control. However, understanding their motivations does not make their actions excusable. A person who truly respects and values another will never resort to belittling or sabotaging them for personal gain. The most important lesson in dealing with this form of betrayal is to recognize that no one deserves to be treated this way. Dignity and self-worth should never be sacrificed to maintain a relationship with someone who repeatedly humiliates or undermines. Cutting ties with individuals who engage in this behavior is often the healthiest decision, as remaining in such an environment only leads to further damage. Surrounding oneself with people who uplift, encourage, and respect personal boundaries is essential for long-term emotional well-being. Healing from this kind of betrayal requires reclaiming confidence and self-worth. It involves shifting the focus away from the humiliation or sabotage and towards self-empowerment. Building resilience, setting firm boundaries, and refusing to tolerate further mistreatment are necessary steps. Ultimately, a person's worth is not defined by how others choose to treat them, but by how they choose to rise above betrayal and stand firm in their dignity. When someone betrays another person, the most important step toward healing and resolution is accountability. Taking responsibility for one's actions shows maturity, self-awareness, and genuine remorse. However, there are those who refuse to acknowledge the pain they have caused, making excuses, shifting blame, or outright denying their wrongdoing. These individuals often repeat their betrayals because they do not see their actions as problematic, or worse, they simply do not care about the consequences of their behavior. A person who refuses to take accountability is not just avoiding an uncomfortable conversation, they are actively dismissing the emotions and experiences of the person they hurt. This refusal to acknowledge the impact of their betrayal sends a clear message. Their own comfort and ego matter more than the pain they inflicted. When someone is unable to say, "I was wrong," or "I hurt you, and I take responsibility for it," they are revealing a fundamental lack of respect for the people around them. Instead of making amends, they may try to downplay the situation, making the victim feel like they are overreacting or being unreasonable. One of the most common tactics of those who refuse accountability is blame shifting. Rather than admitting fault, they twist the situation to make it seem as though the other person is responsible for what happened. They might say things like, "If you hadn't done this, I wouldn't have reacted that way," or "You're too sensitive." This kind of manipulation is not only unfair, but also incredibly damaging, as it causes the betrayed person to question their own reality. And when someone continuously deflects responsibility, they are showing that they are unwilling to change, making it clear that the same patterns of betrayal will likely happen again. Another sign of avoiding accountability is playing the victim. Instead of recognizing the pain they have caused, they might exaggerate their own struggles, making themselves seem like the one who was truly wrong. They may say, "I was just going through a tough time," or "I had no choice," as if their circumstances justified their betrayal. While it's true that people make mistakes due to stress, insecurity, or personal challenges, these factors do not excuse harmful behavior. True accountability means acknowledging mistakes without making excuses. People who refuse to take responsibility for their betrayals often repeat them because they face no real consequences. If they are never held accountable, they have no reason to change. They may assume that they can continue to betray, lie, manipulate, or hurt others without repercussions. This creates a dangerous cycle where they become comfortable mistreating those around them, knowing they can always find a way to avoid blame. Those who have been betrayed must recognize the warning signs of someone who refuses accountability. If apologies are filled with excuses, if the person constantly shifts blame, or if they react with anger when confronted, it is a clear indication that they have no real intention of changing. Accepting empty apologies or hoping that they will eventually take responsibility often leads to further disappointment. People who genuinely regret their actions will not only admit to their mistakes, but will actively work to repair the damage they have done. Healing from betrayal requires setting firm boundaries with those who refuse to take responsibility. This may mean distancing oneself from toxic relationships or refusing to engage with individuals who continually avoid accountability. It is important to remember that change cannot be forced. Someone who does not see a problem with their behavior will not fix it. Instead of waiting for them to change, the focus should be on protecting one's own well-being and surrounding oneself with people who value honesty, integrity, and respect. In the end, repeated betrayal is not an accident, it is a choice. And that choice is made easier when there are no consequences. A person who refuses to take accountability for their betrayals will continue to hurt others just as they have before. The most powerful response to this kind of behavior is to refuse to tolerate it. Walking away from someone who does not respect or take responsibility for their actions is not a loss. It is a necessary step towards self-respect and emotional peace.